in solidarity with Pope Francis's call and with signs and flyers helping to awaken and spread awareness in solidarity with peace and the elimination of nuclear weapons.
As I was walking, that's within a Esta tierra es tuya, esta tierra es mía, donde el horizonte a la sol gloria, desde las montañas, costa, ríos y mar. Esta tierra es para this land is yours. In the shadow we stood with our people as they sat hungry. We stood here asking, is this land dreaming? When this land is rolling, this land is mine. From California to the Dakota pipeline.
Police were happy with the
well, no, it's not the police. It's the
building?
It's the manager, the guy that came out. He wants to make sure we're really keeping the sidewalk clear. We got it, not blocking anything. But we have a permit, and as long as we do that, we're okay.
Anybody want to talk?
No, thank you. Talk for whom?
For whom?
You again.
For the public. Hi.
Just a tad.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we're just checking on your ankles.
Ah, they're free now.
Congratulations.
No more ankle monitor, yeah.
Oh boy.
Still behaving. Can't have any encounters with the police. I can't negotiate with them today. So, I was going to end up in Georgia.
Oh, that's a government we got. Right. What do you want to tell the public?
I want to tell the public that it's very important that you stand up against nuclear weapons, nuclear power plants, fossil fuels, and anybody who doesn't work for environmental and social justice.
This weather. My name is Mari Inoue. I'm a member of Manhattan Project for Nuclear Free World. we've been organizing this kind of peace gathering in front of the Japanese consulate since 2015. We don't do around this time, but since the Pope Francis will be in Japan from November 23rd and 26th to visit Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Tokyo, we decided to Anthony reached out to me and we decided to organize a peace gathering in front of the Japanese consulate. We are also able to set up appointment with a representative of Japanese consulate at noon. So a couple of us will be delivering a letter which we will give out to you, which is calling for Japan's signing and ratifying the Treaty on Nuclear Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. So we hope that they will listen to our messages and hopefully they will play a leadership role in promoting the treaty. Right now, I believe that more than 70 countries signed and 33 countries ratified the treaty. But in order to have this treaty in force, we need 50 signatures. We hope that that will happen sometime next year. So let's keep working together, and thank you so much for coming here today. And I'd like to talk about this map. What happened was that after Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011, many communities were contaminated by the radioactivity which was released from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. After the Chernobyl disaster, Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, several years later, they measured the soil samples and created a radiation map and distributed to their citizens. Japanese government didn't do that. So people were frustrated because they wanted to know whether their communities are safe. They wanted to know whether children's parks or playgrounds or streets are safe. So more than 4,000 volunteers gathered soil samples from 3,400 locations in 17 prefectures. And this organization is called Minna no Data Site, and they recently published a booklet in English so that people know how located many communities are when they continue their struggle from the radiological contamination. So if you're interested in obtaining one, reach out to me later. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone can hear okay? How beautiful it is. How many, we have Veterans for Peace. Yes. We have the Grannies for Peace. We have the Catholic Workers. We have Pax Christi and Marie, Manhattan Project for a Nuclear-Free World. Who else do we have here? Peace Action, of course. Peace Action. Sorry? Ribbons International.
Shut down Indian Point now.
Who?
Shut down Indian Point now.
And shut down Indian Point now. So thank you. It's very momentous. We're all very touched by His Holiness the Pope Francis for not only the first month he was elected to be Pope. He started talking about nuclear weapons and he started talking about our climate, our precious climate. He pulled the two together right from the start. His first encyclical talks very clearly about both. This treaty that we have at the UN, which is an absolute godsend for all of us who've been caring about nuclear weapons for the past 70 years. This is not just words. We know everyone says, well, all the popes have been against nuclear weapons. And I know Pope John the 23rd really was, and he put his life on the line, and it was probably taken because of this subject. We don't know. But all the popes sure have said something, but Pope Francis has done a lot more than just saying that we should really get rid of nuclear weapons. He has been advocating, he's been part of from the very start this treaty. He's been supporting this treaty, promoting this treaty, talking about this treaty, and going around the world asking people to sign this treaty. This treaty has teeth. It's an international document, international law. It has teeth. It's got things about transferring, about possessing, about the threat of use, about making these devices. This treaty really hurts the industry. And we know the only reason we have nuclear weapons today is because of an industry. And by the way, it's not just the United States industry, although we are the ones that probably benefit the greatest. But it's this military industry that exists everywhere, and it existed in Japan big time as well. We're all victims. Every human being on this planet has been the victim of militarism. We have a Pope that understands that and has been pushing. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, as usual, it's a beautiful moment that our Pope goes to Hiroshima and Nagasaki this weekend, very specifically, very purposefully, to bless, to listen, to be blessed by, and to be informed by these two places made sacred by the many thousands who just vanished on that day, and the many, many, many thousands after who still suffer today greatly from this industry, and from this poison, from this great danger to our planet. We're really honored also to have the Kings Bay Plowshares, to Carmen Trotta and Martha Hennessy with us today. Because as the Pope, if you listen to the Pope's Holy See statement repeatedly, but he repeated it again September 26th at the UN for the day, the International Day for the total elimination of nuclear weapons. The Holy See reiterated that we're not talking about passing this treaty in some distant future when things are okay with this nuclear states, where we can sit down peacefully and talk. The Pope is saying we can't wait for all these things to be in place with nuclear weapons. We have to act now. And we have among us 2 of the 7 who also felt that call to act now. This is very urgent. We are dying every day because of this industry. So Pope Francis is in Hiroshima and in Nagasaki this weekend, honoring and trying to bring this to the attention of the world, and especially for Catholics in the United States. We have a conservative Catholic Church here who has not talked about this issue. Most of our bishops haven't mentioned it, and you don't hear it in our pulpits. So once again, the Kings Bay Plowshares have been pleading and showing the way with our Catholic institution here. So I give great honor, and hopefully we'll have a moment with them. What else do I want to say? Just that I'm honored that you all came out here today, that all your organizations have joined, and I can't say enough about Marie Inouye, the many back and forth. Yes, let's hear a cheer for Marie Inouye. Thank you. The Pope is in Hiroshima and Nagasaki this weekend. So Mary has translated all our documents into Japanese, no small task, writing me emails in the middle of the night, what this line means, what that line means. So it's been such hard work, and thank you so much. Thank you for pulling this together. It's also not easy to get an appointment with the Japanese consulate. So it's really a beautiful, beautiful gesture. I can't tell you how much we appreciate this gesture and how we feel the solidarity. So, who else would like to say a few words? Okay, is it concerning this treaty? Yes, beautiful. Or our day? Okay, come on. we'll give the mic over, and I'd like Martha and Carmen to have a word. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Catherine Skopek, and I'm with Sierra Club and Peace Action of New York State. Bless you for being here, and for all those who are with us in spirit but not here. What do we want? We want no nuclear weapons. What do we want? No nuclear weapons. When do we want that? Now. What do we want? No nuclear weapons. When do we want that? Now. We want no nuclear power plants. What do we want? No nuclear power plants. And when do we want that? Now. And we want no fossil fuels. When do we want that? Now. What do we want? No fossil fuels. When do we want that? Now. We also support environmental and social justice, that all these changes and transitions should be made in full economic justice to all peoples and communities. And I'm speaking out today for these things. I'm speaking for the elders, for the children of this generation and of all generations, and all people of all ages in between, because we have heard the cry. We have heard the cry from the people, the plants, the animals, the waters, and the very earth itself. And this cry says, stop the destruction. Stop it now. Nuclear waste remains toxic for 1 million years. We can no longer destroy our planet. So bless you for being here. And what do we want? No nuclear weapons. What do we want? No nuclear weapons. And when do we want that? Now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it's really important that we not block we keep this area clear. And Carmen and Martha, do one of you wish to say a few words? I'd love that, but we will read when Carmen and Martha and Marie go upstairs. We will read the statement that they are delivering. We'll also read a statement from Cardinal Tobin of the Archdiocese of Newark. And we're going to also read, perhaps before you go up, we can read Dorothy Day's 1945 letter in the Catholic Worker. Carmen Trotta. Yeah, thank you.
First of all, I just want to remember that Father Steve Kelly is in his 19th month in jail down in Georgia for the Kings Bay 7 Plowshares action, in which 7 of us went on to the military base down in Georgia, where we house the Trident submarines. About 1/4 of our nuclear arsenal comes out of that base, is attended to at that base. It was an action designed to open up the issue to the general public. So we are extraordinarily proud of Father Steve Kelly, the Jesuit, who is spending all his time down there. It's not his first Plowshares action, he's done several. And we're enormously proud of Pope Francis. I don't think there's ever been anything like him in our lifetime. When we think of the immigrants throughout Europe and what is going to happen regarding global immigration, the thousands of people who have died trying to cross from Northern Africa to Europe, and the Pope is fighting against this, saying that they should bring them in, bring them in. He is calling constantly for global solidarity. It is also the case, of course, that the 2 existential threats he has very practical solution for. And he is calling upon us to live these things into being. The end of nuclear weapons and a definite fight against climate change. And so we will be the next couple of days out in front of the cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral. Members of the King Bay Plowshares, hopefully members of Pax Christi, the other groups that are the Veterans for Peace, and the other groups that have been named earlier. I would say also, and I don't think most Americans know it, but we could have ended the arms race years ago that has come back. In 1987, Mikhail Gorbachev offered total nuclear disarmament to Ronald Reagan, and Reagan almost bit. But there is that thing called the military-industrial complex that seems to have gotten in the way. Most recently, Mikhail Gorbachev made a statement saying basically that he sees two very grave dangers. The first of them is the militarization of politics. And the second, he said, was the abandonment of international law. The Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons is a matter of international law. The timing for this on the part of Pope Francis is in my mind very precise, because the United States has almost completely withdrawn from international law. The very nation that was most instrumental in the creation of the United Nations, that very nation now has pulled most of the plugs on international law. We are actually hearing people talk about things like the Monroe Doctrine here in the United States. So the burden is really upon America to call for, to create total nuclear disarmament. And God bless Pope Francis for going there and making this very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. God bless, and thank you for reminding. Martha, do you want to say a word?
Yeah. So we'll come back.
Okay. Okay. God bless. We'll be thinking of you all. Thank you.
Since 1945, the American public has been taught that the war with Japan was won because of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those in power continue to insist that our safety and security is provided by such horrors. This lie supports proliferation here and around the world. Our devices today are inconceivably multiple times the destructive power of 1945. With this urgency of life itself, in nonviolent civil disobedience, the Kings Bay Plowshares 7 risked their lives to help awaken our public of the hidden crime against humanity that lay hidden in the waters of just one U.S. submarine base, with its capability alone to destroy the entire world many times over. For this brave action, these 7 Catholic workers now face many years in prison.
Dorothy Day, who in 1933 co-founded the Catholic Worker Movement, the newspaper and houses of hospitality serving the poor, marginalized, and powerless, was among the first Americans to publicly denounce the atomic bombings and remain steadfast in this her entire life. Youngest Pope Francis called her out 4 times. Nation can be considered great when it strives for justice and the cause of the oppressed, as Dorothy Day did by her tireless work.
And we'll do it all together. We have more than hope. Along with a growing list of cities and states, the New York City Council is posed to pass 2 bills with veto-proof support. We will hold the
nuclear weapons. Amalgamated Bank, one of the oldest banks in New York City, has stopped all investments and transactions with companies involved with nuclear weapons. Woo! Pope Francis emphasized that nuclear weapons create nothing but a false sense of security. us that peaceful coexistence between members of the human family must be inspired by an ethics of solidarity, and that the witness and voice of the Hibakusha serve as a warning above all for coming generations. In Nagasaki and Hiroshima, he again calls us all to work together now. PKW will enter into force before long. During this momentous visit at the close rally, we ask you respectfully to hear this call and work toward the reality of a promising future
for generations to come.
We stand recommitted to what Dr. Takashi Nagai implores in the Bells of Nagasaki in 1946. We need to love one another. Grant that Nagasaki may be the last atomic wilderness in the history of the world. In sincerity and gratitude. Endorsed by the Catholic Worker Mary House, Kings Bay Plowshare 7, Brooklyn for Peace, Danny Peace Brigade, Hibakusha Stories, Youth Art,
the Manhattan Project for a Nuclear-Free World, Pax Christi, Metro, New York, Peace Action, New York State, Shut Down Indian Point Now! The Ribbon International, Veterans for Peace, New York City Chapter, 034. Yay! Woo!